Kathy?
Yes, I've had a problem unmuting. Sorry. Thank you, David. We are very pleased to have Shaunda Hamilton, our speaker today, as our speaker today. Shaunda is the executive director of Boone County Community Against Violence. Shaunda will tell us why and when she created Boone County Community Against Violence and its mission and goals. Shaunda is employed by the City of Columbia as a Minority Business Program Specialist with Regional Economic Development, READY, since July 2024. Her work at READY allows her to support small business owners, particularly those in minority communities, with coaching, mentoring, and strategic advice to ensure long-term success and business growth. The $50,000 Minority Business Enterprise Grant program she oversees is a powerful annual resource for small businesses, helping provide the financial support needed to grow and thrive. The 2025 MBE, Minority Business Enterprise Grant, launched in March 2025. Shaunda's work at READY also includes creating the Nonprofit Cohort, a platform for nonprofit leaders to connect and access the support they need to thrive in their respective missions. She also updates and promotes the Minority Business Directory to further foster equity and access in Columbia. Shaunda is a longtime Columbia community member. She holds a family development credential from the University of Connecticut and is a certified nonprofit executive, trained victims advocate, and trained Lead Missouri community organizer. Shaunda is the proud mother of 4 children and grandmother to 3 grandsons, who she loves spoiling. She enjoys attending their sports events to support and cheer them on. Shaunda's love for her family and her commitment to her community shape her approach to life and work. Her life is a blend of professional impact and personal dedication. Welcome, Shaunda.
Thank you, Kathy. I forgot they wrote all that at the city. I was like, dang, I hadn't heard it for a long time. Thank you, guys. Some of that has changed a little bit, but it's primarily pretty much the same. I do still work at Ready, and I've been around Ready for a long time. I've done worked here a year. I've been around Ready for 6 years. I've contracted with Ready to do work with them and as a business coach as well, and with other small businesses. And so I want to thank you guys for coming, or thank you for inviting me. Um, I had planned to have something more of a presentation, and I was not able to do that. I just was really busy this week, and we have Roger on the line. I spent a few days with him, and I thank Roger so much for everything that he's done with me and for me. And so in 2019, I started Boone County Community Against Violence. And do you mind if I share some of my screen, Kathy?
No, please go ahead.
Okay. I'm gonna try to do it as good as I can because I have all this different stuff up. So I'm gonna make sure I try to see if you guys can see. Oh, wait a minute, I have my email up too.
Yeah, Zoom makes it tricky when you have multiple windows open.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. Hopefully that doesn't show. Let's see. Okay. Hopefully just can you guys see my screen at all?
Yep, we see it now.
Okay, do you see? Let's see.
Our
So do
mission,
you
who we are, what we do. Yep.
Yes. Okay, so this is our brochure, and since we're not in person, I would just like to share the brochure. But I did start Boone County Community Against Violence in 2019, and we call ourselves BCCAV for short. And so I started it in October after my daughter was murdered here in Columbia, Missouri. That year in 2019, in that month, has been said to be one of the most violent months and years in Columbia. And when that happened, Nadria was one of the first people to have been killed that month, and so along with several others. And so our mission is to provide support to victims and survivors of gun violence, provide a safe and inclusive space that allows individuals to share their stories, honor their loved ones, and access the tools that they need to rebuild their lives. Through advocacy, education, community outreach, we amplify survivor and victim voices, raise awareness, and drive meaningful change to end violence. Healing and remembrance are at the heart of our work, ensuring that no one affected by gun violence walks their journey alone. So, how that started is being a gun victim of a survivor myself. I truly understand um, what that looks like and feels like. So, you want to isolate. Okay. And then whenever things like this happen, people, they're through that first couple of weeks. It's not intentional because they have lives. People's lives move on. And so, you isolate and you're alone. And for me, what happened is I had a lot of support. I had a lot of people who just really surrounded me. And even as hard as it was, um, I, it was really hard for me even still with support. So what I knew is that everyone did not have support all the time. And so I wanted to ensure that the people that didn't have support, so they were able to get those supports as well. When I started the organization, I'd never done any nonprofit work. I didn't know anything about nonprofits at all. But again, with the support that I had in the community, I was able to start my nonprofit, and we are a 501(c)(3) organization, and we have been as well since 2020. Um, and so I was able to get my organization started, but I still didn't really know exactly what I wanted to do because I wanted to do so many things. There were so many things I wanted to do. So we did a little bit of everything. And mainly we were really getting our names out in the community, working with other organizations. We were just trying to help in any way we can with people of gun violence survivors. But then we were also kind of getting out of our lane a little bit, and we were helping people who had food, who needed help with rent. And so I had to kind of pull that back and make sure that we were understanding that we are a resource for those people. And we wanted to focus on what we actually do, and that is really work with gun violence survivors. I just 1 second, okay? Because I can't really see. Okay. So you guys said you can see my screen. Can you see me?
Yes, we see you. We see the screen and you.
Okay, so I can't really see. Okay, I guess I can't see anything. And so we wanted to make sure that that's what we did. We wanted to keep that as our focus. And I wanted to show this brochure here for you as well. And so our message of hope is that we're more than gun violence victims are more than just our trauma. We're voices of resilience in the face of change and the proof that healing is possible. And so that's really important because a lot of times when this happens, we have people, we want to make sure that that's who you are. We want to make sure that you're seen and that you're heard. A lot of times when this happens, we see all these things on the news, we hear about the stories, and we never hear about the victims. We never hear about, the case um, things kind of shift, and all the, um, all the attention tends to turn on the person that committed the crime. And while that person is sitting here and they have a loved one that they are missing. And so I wanted to make sure that as we do this work, that we are supporting the survivors, their families, their friends, because there's so many people that are affected from this. And so that's really important to us as well. And so this is going to be in no order because I did not have prepare. So this is our brochure, and I'm happy to send anyone a brochure if you'd like. The other thing about this brochure is that it's really meaningful to me is that this is our these are real people. So this is the detectives that worked on my case, and our family and friends that were here. This is my son. And so that was really important so that people really see, and that's important that we don't want the victims to be lost in all of this because they are what we work on they are who are important to us is the survivors and their families. And this is from our some of our initiatives that we do that we'll talk about more. And I don't know what's going to be next, okay? So I'm just going to do this anyway. No, oh, that's wrong. Let's see. Sorry, guys. Okay. So one of the things that we do is we have survivor support initiatives that we do. And because we want to make sure that, again, we talked about isolation and we want to make sure that survivors and their families are not isolated. So we try to have different things in the community that we do for us to be able to get together. And the other thing that is also different is we obviously have to have an executive board. So we have that, but we also have an advisory board, and our advisory board is made up strictly of gun violence survivors or families and friends, because I want to make sure that the things that we do are the things that they have felt the need, that they need. A lot of times we have different things and we have people who work for different groups of people, but those groups of people aren't involved in the decision making on things that they need. And so a lot of times that happens. I want to make sure that doesn't happen with our organization. So they are very much involved in that. So one of the things that here's a few of our initiatives that we do every year. We have more. But we do every year Steps for Change, which are healing walks, and anybody in the community is open to that. We open that for everyone because we do have people who feel isolation for many different reasons. And so that's just, and we want to be healthy and stuff. Physical health is important besides your mental health and emotional health as well. I love these walks because there's no, we don't have topics that we do. We just walk and we just talk. We could talk about our week. We could talk about things that we have coming up. And then I might say, does anyone have anything to share? Especially whenever we have someone new, I may ask them, is there something you'd like to share about your story? Or is there a loved one you want to talk about? That's an opportunity for us to be able to talk about our loved ones as well. Then this will be next year will be our third year. We had our second year of the Survivor Support Retreat Day Camp at Finger Lakes. And that's a picture from last year from our day camp, and it is so fun and amazing. And Roger was there this year. Scott was there. Had so much fun. So I can't wait till next year. But so we just spent the day at Finger Lakes, have families come out with their children. One of the things you'll find is a lot of children have not sometimes been out of the city and they have never been fishing and they've never been hiking and they've never been in a canoe. And so we go out there and we do a nature walk. We had to do a nature walk this year because it was wet, but normally we hike and we do marshmallows and we play games and then we go fishing and canoeing in the latter part of the day. Jacob Ellis, or some of you may know him or his family. He leads that for us every year, and we've had an amazing year. And this year, the girls won in the. I'm trying to look at Scott and Roger's faces. So the girls won in our tug of war. So that was a lot of fun. And so they were both there this year. Thank you guys both. And then our annual Juneteenth walk. That was one of the first initiatives that we've done, and it's grown every year. And so it's a remembrance walk, and so we take an opportunity to, whenever we can, to be in a parade and to be able to um, give a tribute to our loved ones. And so we do remembrance walks whenever we can. And so what we do there, we want to make sure that our loved ones are not forgotten. We have an opportunity to have pictures with them. Their families come, we just walk, and we continue to do that. I think one of the things, let's see. The other thing that we do, we used to work a little more closely with the police department. We don't like anymore as much after the change from Chief Jones to Chief Schluty, but hopefully we can. And so what we used to do for them is when something happened in the community and they had to go to the hospital, I used to work as a liaison between the families and the hospital, just so that they understood how the process worked from that point on to being able to talk to the detective, getting that all coordinated for them to talk to the detective, find out who the detective is going to be, and with the funeral home. A lot of times when something happens and you're at the hospital and someone passes, they don't know that their loved one is now evidence, and so they can't see them until they're actually at the funeral home. And so that's really hard for a lot of people. And so I've done that with the police department, kind of going through that process, and they know the steps that they have to take to get to that, which is not, doesn't sound fun. It's not a good thing at all, but it really helps the family to be able to understand what has to happen next without just trying to figure it out. One of the things when they had thought about me doing that is because that's what happened to me. I didn't know what was going to happen next. I sat at the hospital for till 8 o'clock in the morning, thinking someone was going to call me back, and I didn't know that I wasn't going to be called back. And so that's some of the things we do. Also, we work with Roger Johnson here on the line. And so we have families. He's been such a great partner to us. He takes calls from me, and he sets up things with people right away when families have questions and they want to know where their case is, or they want to know if there's been any updates, and they just need to understand what's really going on. He's been really good at being able to set me up with other victims advocates there at his office if someone wants to talk to them or they're not really sure what they're saying to them. I work over at that office to help them with that, being able to understand what's happening with their case and just kind of helping them through that process as well. one of the things that we are working on now that, and I don't have the, or maybe I can get the brochure up. I don't know. Let me see. So are you guys going to see my messy screen here in a minute, okay? I think. Oh, I don't have it all up there. So maybe we won't. I was trying to find my Canva because I did have something on my Canva because I wanted you to see the flyer for one of the things that we have working on that I want to get started next year. It and I'll show that later. And Kathy, I have this for you because I know you had asked about this, and so I'll talk about that too here in a moment. A Nadria scholarship. That's Nadria there, who started it all. So one of the things that I've been working on actually since the beginning of time, and I really just started got it all coordinated and got a flyer for it and a brochure for it, is a program called the Real Program. And so we support families affected by gun violence. Again, I talked about how a lot of times that starts with the family, and that family makes that decision on how they are going to work through this grief and loss. And I know for me and my family, when I lost nature, and me and my family had to have a discussion. And a lot of times what happens is families will go and they will try to retaliate against each other. For us, we sat down together, we looked at who Natria was, and we wanted to make sure that we honored who she was and everything that we did through this whole process. And so she was a beautiful young lady and she loved everyone. And we wanted to make sure that that's how we honored her. And so I came with a program called the Real Program. And so what the Real Program does is we use a trauma-informed family support. And so we help families to be able to learn what their family values are together, and get their support circles. So some people think they don't have supports in their community, and they do. So we make sure that we talk through that process of who is in their support and who in their support system. And then we look to see where the gaps are and how we can fill those gaps for the family. Then after they've come up with their own family values, then we start looking at their family goals as well, individually and as a family. And so then they will work on that. And so what we're doing is we're looking for empowerment through the connection to be able to use the resources that we do have in the community. And then we do healing activities and reflection. And also we talk about gratitude and what their family has to be grateful for, because I know that through this whole process, a lot of times you forget about the things that you are grateful for. And you just look at all the things that are happening at that moment. And so we kind of look at this as prevention through resilience. And so we just want to make sure that we're supporting families the best way that we can. And let's see. Does anyone have any questions? I'm just talking. I know I said I wasn't prepared, so now I'm just rambling on. Does anyone have questions? Feel free. Yes, Scott?
Uh, could you talk a little bit about how people in the community get involved and help accomplish some of the goals?
Yes. Okay.
I
So
hear that that the questioner is actually part of your board.
that what?
Scott said he's on a board of some sort.
Yes. Yes, he is. I
Okay.
guess he's trying to guide me on what I need to be saying.
No, that and
I
other
picked it up.
things.
I picked it up. Yes. So, here I have something here for you. We could use all kind of help. Um, we are a board and we do different fundraising activities, which I'll talk about that in a moment as well. And for the things that we do, we don't have any costs associated with anything that we do. So we use our own time and our own resources. Oh, and that's an old website. We do have a new website that are on the flyers, and so that's going to be open here pretty soon but thank you for sharing that. That's a really old one that I did like in 2019. It looks like it's 2019. But so here's where you can scan. I guess everyone can see that you can use your phone there, but we could use all type of support from volunteerism, from the different activities that we do. And any of you are welcome to come to any of our advisory meetings and stuff, because we're always looking for input from people. And two, one of the things that I asked the advisory committee is I said, if there was one thing that you wanted in this community to know and or to say to them, and they said that it was just to be acknowledged, not forgotten. And so whenever people do show up and come, like that's really important, because sometimes you can really get lost in all of this with your families and just like trying to continue life as normal as you can. So, and I don't know, did everyone get that there? Okay. So another thing that Kathy had asked me about too is I do have scholarship in Nadria. This is Nadria where it all began. This is my daughter. And she does have a scholarship at Columbia College. And you are able to donate to that as well. So this year, when I look back at the year, you know, for me, like I thought it was just horrible whenever the guy was released from jail, he got picked up again and he was in jail again. And so Roger, again, I just have so many praises to Roger. But just even this week I had to look back at my year and say like all the things that happened, I had really two huge things that happened that that I should be grateful for. One of them is that this scholarship was actually fully endowed in September, 6 years, almost to the date that Natria has been gone. And so now it's fully funded. And so we give scholarship every year to nursing students at Columbia College because she was a nursing student there. And then also is that with Roger's help and stuff that I just really had a great success this week. And so, yeah. Yes.
I have another question. One of we've had several guests, I think, that have mentioned you,
Oh.
and we always announce your walk that's
Mhm.
been going on in Stevens Lake Park on our announcements. I guess we mention it every week. Um,
Gracious.
the thing I want to ask you though about now is one of our guests who did talk about you was Marcus Demarcus Thomas Brown. How is I think in some ways you have started something that's gotten roots into our institutions, and you've mentioned many ways through prosecutors' offices and other things. Explain your relationship to him and what he's trying to do in the city office under the city manager.
Okay. So, yes, I do know him. I actually we've met a couple times. Um I don't really I have not attended any of the meetings. So I really need to kind of get in on some of those. Um yeah, I'm not really I know so we both work for the city. I don't I'm not I kind of see some of the things that he's doing like when it pops up and stuff, but I have not attended any of those meetings. And I'm have to kind of figure out when those meetings are actually occurring.
I think you're correct that I mean, what you're saying, the most important thing there is that he's just getting started with what he's doing. But I know it was focusing on gun violence, the way he was talking to us about it, and different ways of dealing with this overwhelming problem. And um, and I think that's why he had to mention you and your organization.
Yeah, I think one of the things that they do, they are really focused on the intervention part of it, and
Yeah.
or they're focused on the prevention and the prevention part. And when I look at that, some people think that we are prevention as well. I guess we could use like words. I kind of think that we are a little more of intervention as far as when it comes to families, because again, we have when these things happen, there's so many different dynamics. So we have the family of the person who was the shooter, and then we have the family of the victims, and then there's their friends that are connected to that, and then there's families that's connected to that, and then there's so many people that's connected. It could be from schools, from jobs, so from all these things that and it's public too. So a lot of times other some of these other violences that happen, they're not always public. But when it's a gun violence incident, it's usually pretty public and it's on TV and it's run on TV for over and over again. And the perpetrators faces on TV and then people on Facebook, and there's just so many different things that are happening.
Yes,
And so,
yes, yes.
what we really do is that's why we really like to. One of the things that we're really navigating too is like if we're able to get with the family as soon as possible. But of course, those other things are happening. They got to do a funeral. They have to have all these things. But it's really important for that part because, and that's one of the things that we're working on is like it was really good whenever we worked more directly with the police because we had like that access right there, right now. So that's made it a little more difficult to do. But if we have access to them right now, while things are fresh and really being able to talk to the family and making sure that they know that they have a liaison with them to get that connection to the police department. Because another thing is a lot of people don't have, let's just be real, trust with the police department and trust with the prosecuting attorney's office. So that's why we were really important during that time, is because we have someone who has who's experienced it, who has the process and can help them navigate it, and it makes it a little more easier for them to do that. So I kind of think that we're more of an intervention because we're able in that moment to be able to have access to the family, to be able to say, this is what is going to happen. They don't have to second guess it. They know they have someone in those difficult moments when they can't make that call or when they don't have the words to say. You know what I mean? To have someone there to do that. So I think that's what makes us different from what the work that he does and the work that we do is that, and it's really important because I think that's how we also keep down some of the crime, is if we're able to get right in there in these heated moments. I know, like, it's helped me, so many times, and my family. Again, we made that decision together from the very beginning. It was something that we talked about, is that we didn't want to do, because of course I have two sons, and of course there were people who were like, oh, you got to do it. I'm like, no, that's not what we're doing. We don't do that, and that's not what we're going to do now. And we're honoring her. And so having those family values and knowing what your family values are is going to be really important for people too.
Thank you for that answer. I do see a big difference in the two
Hmm.
approaches that have been presented to us. And I suspect that all approaches are needed and all hands on deck for this problem.
Yeah.
Kathy, a question.
Well, it's kind of more of a comment and then probably a question too. Um, I hope that you will connect with Chief Sluty, because if you haven't already, I could be wrong, but I think she would be open to working more closely with you. Um, Although she's initiated a lot of new things, so she has a lot
Hmm.
going on.
Yeah.
Um, but I think it would be definitely worthwhile to reach out to see if you could have a few moments with her, because
Yeah.
um, she seems to want a collaborative approach to things.
Hmm. Yeah. I think just having connected, she's been really busy and stuff. She's really good relationship with the police and Detective Raymond and some of the detectives over there. So yeah, that's how it is. Max Stevens. And so we do have a relationship with them. It's just we don't have that. We don't do that office with them anymore after the change between Chief Jones and Chief Schluty. But yeah, so we do plan to speak with each other and see how we can work together more again.
Great. You also might talk about the really impressive Juneteenth event you had at the church. I think it was
Oh,
Missionary Baptist Church.
yeah, friendship. Were you there?
Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
you were there?
I was there with Moms Demand Action for gun
Oh,
sales.
yes, yes. I remember the table. Did you enjoy
Yes.
it?
Yes. I thought it was a really good event.
Yeah, I was excited about that. That was our very first event that we've ever did like at that scale. And so, but next year I want it to be even just a tad bit bigger. And so I have some other ideas. I have a couple of different ideas. For that event, that was one that we added on. And then we did and Scott told me about the tea. I'm gonna do the tea, Scott. And then also we did the homicide remembrance day as well. I do want to, so that was our first one, and we just kind of threw that together because I am notorious for coming up with ideas and then saying, oh, we got to do this. And I didn't really plan them out, but I just want to do something at the but we're really getting better about like just what we are really doing. But yes, thank you for that. I did the Juneteenth one. I wanted to make sure that sh- it was a more of a educational event. We did have like the young lady that sang, and we had a panel of people here. And what we were really working to do is, of course, we wanted to all make sure that it had to go for our mission as well. But we just looked at like some of just the um, systematic things that has that could cause gun violence with families. And then but not even just that, I had speakers and we had workshops um, for you to learn how to like navigate some of those things. So we had a healing workshop, that we had self-care workshop for advocates, and what else did we have there? We had so much going on that day. It was all over the place. But we really just wanted to look at like how we got to where we are today. All the things, that happened whenever I'm from slavery up until today, and we had those conversations. But even still, it was so much more important is that we were here and this is where we're at. But then how do we change those? How do we change that trajectory within our families? And so I thought it was really great. It was a lot of work. So yeah, if anyone wants to sign up and volunteer to help me work on that next year, let me know because we could use the help. Because like I said, I would like to even, we had a lot of compliments about that. And so I want to, yeah, we're just looking at how to do this the same way, but just even, yeah, more the workshops. I'm just kind of looking at how that's going to look because we had all those workshops all at once. So I'm trying to figure out how that looks so that people are able to do different ones as they need to. So I'm still kind of thinking that out through my mind how that's going to look. But yeah, thank you. And thank you guys for coming too. And Moms Demand Action, I always love you guys have been another big support for us from the beginning. You and Kristen and Jean. And so it's just like been amazing also working with you guys. And we also the Homicide Remembrance Day. Kristen wasn't able to do it because she was going out of town. So we actually had talked about that. And so Moms Demand Action, that's an organization who me and Kristen talked, and we really want to make sure that we are partners in things that we do because of the work that you guys do on the legislative level, and then the things that we do here, like more on the ground or whatever. And so we wanted to, me and Kristen talking about that and how that looks like for us to collaborate and have a better partnership because we're both out here doing the same things so we need to be really like, when you hear us or see us, you see Moms Demand Action and vice versa, and how that looks for us. Because we're doing the work together. So,
That's
yeah,
great.
from families. Yeah, yeah. And you had asked another thing. You said about was it the Juneteenth? Or maybe I mentioned something else.
You mentioned the vigil that you had too a
Yes,
while ago.
yes. That was our first year. We didn't have a lot of families that came out to that one, but I'm looking at something different for next year for that. And what I did was I had went to Excelsior Springs and they did something similar to that, but not for that. But they had it was more of a community-based event. And so as for me and for the organization, we're always looking at how do we get this community involved? Like that's really important is how do we get the community? Because we have to have the buy-in from the community. And so if we have that's how I feel about it. If we have the buy-in from the community, and then because everyone wants a safe community, right? We all want our community to be safe. We all want to be able to go move about our community and not feel like something may happen. And so whenever these things happen, people it like really scares the community for a minute. You know what I mean? They're really on guard. And so we want to do something that's a community with the police department, with the fire department, first responders and things like that. And because we also have to have like they're a part of all of this too. They're the first responders are the first people to see the gun violence victim, the person who's been shot. So yeah, we're looking at that, how we can incorporate something like that too. Excelsior Springs they did a good program, and they had a what do you call that? Where you throw the ball in the dunking station. Roger, did I
Yeah.
say something to you about that? I think I was gonna, Roger, did I already tell you I was gonna ask you to be at the dunking station?
Yes.
Did I mention that to you?
Yeah.
He'll hope he can be a judge first, and then it would probably be inappropriate. Prosecutor, why not?
I thought I did. I couldn't
That's a
remember. Like, did I
joke.
mention that? Yeah. Yeah. So, and then also, and this year we didn't do it this year, but for the past 2 or 3 years, we've also worked with first responder support as well with Rick Rowden. And so he had left this year as executive director. So this year we're not doing it. So I don't know what it'd look like next year. But so we did Shop with a Hero with that organization too. And so that's another thing that I really love because, again, the first responders, they see these families in amidst chaos. And so to see them walk through the store together and they're all in their uniform, whether they're in their uniforms are police, the Columbia Police Department or the Sheriff's Department or a fire department, whatever that may be. So they're walking around Walmart together. And when it starts out, it's kind of like you see them kind of like, oh, I don't know about you. You know what I mean? And then they come back through laughing and like really they have an opportunity to get to know each other outside of like their jobs or outside of being a survivor, but just as people and learning about each other and families. So I really enjoyed that one because it's very different when they come back, when they walk out together and when they come back together. And it's just a whole, yeah. So I really love that one too. You don't really get an opportunity to always like engage in a police officer where, it's just talking about each other's families and learning about each other. So, and seeing each other for more than a victim or a responder, a first responder, whether you're the police or sheriff or whoever. So, any other questions? I probably could go on and on, but I talk, so I go all over the place too. I didn't have anything written out, so I just like talking.
Um,
I just
I
I
I
want to say,
have
Shaunda,
oh, Rebecca, yes.
oh, sorry, go ahead. Thank you for the work that you are doing in the community. I know that we talked a few years back, and you've been available and made yourself available for the families. And given that we are seeing an uptick in gun use in our city, I think your role becomes more and more important. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Absolutely. As I said, we've heard about you from several of our guests now that I think about it. And so we are so honored to have you with us today, and also so impressed by someone who has taken the worst kind of tragedy um, and turned it into an opportunity to do something in our community. Um, I, I'd like to think that on the issue of healing, that your organization has already been tremendously successful. On the aspects of prevention and those other things, you're you're an advisor to a lot of other groups that have to be working and doing doing better, doing more, because we know that violence, particularly gun violence, is a big problem in our community. I don't think anyone objects to that characterization, and so it just means so much for you to take on this face of the problem as you have, and we really appreciate you.
Thank
Um,
you.
are there aspects of those different roles that you have to play that you want to say more about?
Um, as far as
Victims and then prevention and all the other allies you have in that. You've talked about several of them.
yeah, I think I didn't really, like I said early on, I didn't really know what my role was. I just wanted to do something. And I really kind of figured that out as time went on. And I think I knew it, but I didn't really think I knew how to really, I just wanted to do so much. And so what I would find is someone would call me and they say, oh, well, I left my boyfriend, I need a place to stay. And I would spend all this time like calling to get people a bed and doing all this stuff. You know what I mean? And what I started figuring out is like, oh, I'm moving away from my mission. And I had to like stop and say, what is our mission? Our mission, we updated our mission. It didn't change a whole lot because our mission is what our mission was. I think it was really me not following the mission. And it was me really, because our mission really didn't change too much after I went back and looked at it. But it was me trying to do too much. And so I really wanted to, and I did change a couple things as far as adding in gun violence because, and I even felt bad about that at first because I was like, because I want to help everybody, but I'm like, oh, but we are working for gun violence. And so, and I had to think and had to remind myself that when someone is working with sexual abuse, that's what they do. And when someone's working with domestic violence, that's what they do. And so I had to really make sure that we did that. Now, we had to really, I've talked with Michelle over at True North, and so we're looking at doing some things together because gun violence can be definitely, um, and with domestic violence, guns are involved as well. So, um, yeah, we're talking with each other to on some work that she's already doing and stuff that she wants to work with me on. So, I'm excited about that because even though they all kind of go hand in hand, but I have to make sure that we just stay really mission focused on what we're doing, and because we have so many great organizations that are already doing the work of all that stuff that is not outside of my mission where I don't need to be, but I have those people as like you said, my allies and stuff. And definitely the resources is so important. And those connections with them are so important because as we're looking at how families are um how we're going to fill in those gaps for them, their support gaps. These are all these people that are already out here. And so, yeah, that's what's really important to me is making sure that I keep my resources up to date and keeping relationships with other organizations because we all need each other in the end of it all, no matter what the work is that we're doing. The people that we work with, they most likely need all of us in some aspect. And so having that relationship with them is going to be really, really important. So I don't know if I answered your question though.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
An insight into your mind on your process here is just it's just so interesting and again, very impressive. David Mallory.
You got to unmute there. Yes, Shaunda, thank you so much again for coming presenting to us today. And I may have missed it at the beginning. Dave Taylor and I were working on some technical issues. I have a question. The website on your BCCAV, Boone County Community Against Violence, but then when you start reading into it, it specifically talks about gun violence. Do you also deal with knife violence or just physical brutality? Or there are a lot of other kinds of violence. I don't know. Is that something that's in your core mission? Or are you just focused on gun violence?
So I just got finished talking about that is I was kind of doing a little bit of everything. And then I realized like my mission really is gun violence. Now, even though it's gun violence, it doesn't mean that I don't work with other organizations on things. I just understand where I play a role at and where other organizations do. So it's really important that I keep relationship with other organizations so that we're supporting each other. Because a lot of times when we're working with someone, they fall into other organizations. They need other supports and stuff, other places. And so with the real program that we are doing, the resource in everyone's lives is that we want to make sure that we are able to fill those support gaps for them. And so again, I'm like, we have not done this yet, but I'm really excited about it. And I've been wanting to do it for probably 4 years now. And I just hadn't done it. And so I had to sit down and say, you know what, 'cause this has been in my head to do. And one of the reasons why I went and got the family development credential is because I just wanted to make sure that we are able to support people. Because it's one thing to say, a lot of times people do things I talk a lot just so you guys know, and I just go on and on. But a lot of times people have experiences and they want to go and do things to help. So one of the things I knew is that even though like I had a lived experience with losing my daughter to gun violence and stuff, it was like really important to me that I also said, well, I do need to get some type of training on this. And I've never had a nonprofit before, never really worked in a nonprofit in this type of capacity. And so that's why I went in to do and it's just words and books. So the nonprofit executive, like, what does that really mean? But I got some learning and I take something from all of it. And even with the victims advocacy training, like I knew what was one of the biggest important things that I learned from that was trauma bonding. And that's helped me so that whenever I'm working with people, I don't take my experience and what happened to me and put that on them. This is their time. I don't need to talk about what happened to me. I need to be actively there for them. I don't need to say, "Oh my gosh, I remember and that happened to me too." And oh, I don't, this is not for me, it's for them. And so that's one of the biggest things. A lot of times people like do things because they had this experience in something, but we still have to have those different type of trainings for it, which goes back to the family development credential. I had wanted to do this for a really long time, working with families and for the intervention part of that after this has kind of happened. And even before, like I've talked to Left Columbia about doing this with some of their residents at their new home. But sorry guys, I really like go all over the place because that's how my mind works. So, but that family development credential was really important for the for me for that program there. And again, I don't know if I answered your question because I just talk a lot. Sorry.
Again, I love the way you take us through your process and how
That's how
you
my head
how
works.
you discovered your mission because it is very interesting. Rebecca, another
David?
question.
Yeah,
There's
so
also
I'm curious. With the Boone County Children's Fund, I know that they've worked with a lot of different groups to put kind of resources together. So especially in Columbia Public Schools, And now with our school board passing this informational policy to send home information on safe storage, which is yay, wonderful. Have you had any interaction like doing a FACE type program with CPS where like you can specifically aim therapy and family support with those children who have experienced gun violence?
So we've talked about it a couple times throughout the years. I'll tell you, so we talked about it with Dr. Stiepelman. We talked about it with the last superintendent. So I think what sometimes happens is the focus really is on like, oh, we have to see what we can do so that these kids don't go out, and commit crimes. But and that's why I have so much respect for that work. But what I've come to realize is that like it's not always about the kids who are in a troubled home. Not, I don't mean it's not always about them. What I'm saying is that it could happen to any family at any time. And so I don't think what I found out too is that what we're not prepared for is when it happens to those families. And so I have talked to a couple of people, but honestly, like no one wants to think about when it does happen, if I can just be really candid with you. So a lot of times whenever I have conversations with people, if it hasn't already happened or we're not having a something that's like in the news right now, um, then it's not as I don't want to say not as important, it's just not on the forefront of people's minds. So like really, if you really stop and think about it and look at it, what happens is I don't want to, I'm trying to make sure I use my words the correct way, but what really like if no one is killed, okay, we might say, oh, this 15-year-old was shooting. And so, oh my gosh, this 15-year-old shooting and these kids got guns and blah, 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 and all these things happen. And then so when someone gets killed, and then it's like, oh my gosh, this family and this happened with my daughter, it happened with the last shooting of the Columbia College student, I mean, Stevens College student happens, oh my gosh, we got to do something, we got to do something. And then what's going to happen is it kind of dies down after everything dies down. But what they always remember is, oh, these kids have guns. And then they forget about like the families and friends that Ayana's family is affected, has been affected by, or Nadria, or so a lot of times no one really wants to talk about like the survivors and their families and their friends and the teachers and their coaches and their all these people that are connected to these wonderful people who actually absolutely didn't have anything to do with anything. And so I think it's more of I think sometimes and I think it's really important work because that's the thing too. Do you know how many young kids have know someone in their family that has been affected by gun violence? It's a lot of them.
But I
And
mean,
in
that's
the
kind of where I'm
schools
going
too. Hmm.
yeah, with my question, because it doesn't have to be a mass casualty event. You know,
Yep.
children are having these things happen in their lives, and if they can be directed toward a therapy specific to
Hmm.
that trauma, I
Hmm.
think it can be so much more effective.
Yes. Me and Tisha dear, we had she went to the school with me as well, and we had wanted to work with kids and from the MU extension, and because there's a lot of children that's been affected by gun violence in the schools, and a lot of times they don't even know like what's really wrong with them because they don't always come out and say it. And so again, that's another experience. My grandson, he was affected by that. And so when it happened with him, he shut down, and they thought and he was kind of agitated and stuff, and he was getting up and just going to the bathroom and just doing things, okay? And they said, oh, we need to send him over to Bridges because he has ADHD. Well, he didn't. He was grieving and he didn't know how to process that grief. And so we had to put him in. And like I told the school, it's like the communication between me and my family and the school, it was not the best because we didn't say, oh, this happened to him and this is what's going on. And the school knew about it, but they never reached us to say, and hey, how can we support you and your family with him? So on both ends of that for us, we both kind of fell through with that. And so that's why I know that's so important because, and it's happening all the time with kids. Like the some of the counselors and the teachers may know that this child has just had a family member that's been affected by and they've been affected by gun violence in their home, but having those conversations is really hard for them. And so that was one of the things that that program did is that teaches counselors, teachers, faculty, whether they're work in the kitchen of the school, whether they're the work in environmental services in the school, how to deal with children who are in the school that's been affected by gun violence. So we have talked to them about it. No one seems that interested in it because a lot of people really are more concerned about like how can we keep it from happening. But so what we've come to figure out is okay, that's not our role, but we want to make sure that when it does happen, that we're here. And so we have a lot of people who are working on how do we keep it from happening. We know gun violence is not going to ever 100% just be gone. So, but we do want to see, like, we just want to make sure that when in it happens, like, we just want to make sure that we are here to give that support for families. And so, yeah, but we have, I think, like I said, I don't think people sometimes like, it's not really high on the radar. It's kind of like, it's really more higher, like, oh, we gotta, and we have a lot of great programs and stuff out here for in the communities and the schools and stuff that are happening. And we're just here to like help the families and something happens so they're not alone. Because they kind of get kind of left to the wayside, you know. Yeah. I know when we had the candlelight for Homicide Remembrance Day, there were a couple people there, and I was so it's just um their family member had it was 11 years, and I've known who his child was and I knew who the girlfriend was. They had never ever come to anything, and
Right.
I didn't know that they knew about that event happening that day, and they showed up, and it was like, oh my gosh, like 11, you think, oh, they're okay now, it was so long ago, they're okay, and they showed up, and I talked to his daughter, and yeah, it's been 11 years. So, and sometimes, you know what I mean? But it's 11 years and struggling still. Doesn't end, but sometimes you have to do it alone. And so again, we just want to make sure that we don't do it alone. And so the people like who come and work with us, like, are part of our organization and come to our meetings and stuff, we could just talk about our loved ones and laugh about our loved ones. You know what I mean? About funny things that they did. I'll say, tell me something funny about them and tell me something that is so sweet about them that nobody knows. And so they have an opportunity to share those things. Because a lot of times you don't get to share it with people because people feel sad for you. They don't want to mention their name. They think you're going to cry if you mention their name. They think, well, you may cry. Of course you may cry because you love them, but they don't want to talk about them too much. In reality, we want to talk about them. We don't want people to forget them because we love them, and we don't want anyone to forgive them. And we want people to love them as much as we loved them too. And so that's what we do. We create that space again for that to happen, for people to, for us to talk about them and not feel that we're making someone else uncomfortable because we're talking about them. I know someone asked about the healing walks. The healing walks will start in the spring. Sometimes I don't have a date yet, but please, if anyone wants to come out, please come. We have a couple different routes that we take, just kind of depending on who's walking with us. And it's not like a vigorous exercise at all. We are casually walking and talking. And like I said about our day, like just letting people know that we care about what's going on in their lives and that they have someone to share things with, and without judgment, without anything, or if they're having a bad week or whatever the case may be, just celebrating wins and just being there for, like, if something's going on, to a place to just talk and talk about their loved one if they want to. So this is open to anybody. You don't have to be a gun violence victim survivor. It's just come.
Did I interrupt Kathy, who was about to ask
Oh,
something?
Yeah, I was going to say that there was a question in the chat, but
oh,
Shaunda just saw it. But
Ah,
also, just let me clarify then. So right now, the walks at Stevens Park are not going on because of the weather.
mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, but you'll start them again in the spring.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well,
But
if you,
now I still have to exercise, so I'm gonna have to start going to the Arc. So if anybody wants to go to the Arc with me on Saturdays or Sunday, let me know.
David Mallory.
I'm trying to learn how to be accountable for myself and go get up and walk.
Yes,
So,
again, you may have covered this already, Sean, but do you have any kind of estimate on how many people you have worked with and assisted through the years you've been
Good
an ongoing organization?
I was looking at that one time. I was going through, oh my gosh. I think, Scott, we were talking about that. So what I have not been bad about, and so Jean used to help me with this, Kathy, is because she does the data analysis stuff. And so I went through, because I do capture names and stuff, but I haven't like compiled it and did all the analysis on it. But I think I have like 200 and something. So, but so I'm good about capturing it because what I do know is I have to have the data, but I haven't put it all together.
Mm.
And I don't know how many of them are repeat from different events and things like that. But just throughout I am capturing stuff. I just haven't been good about that. I was gonna reach out to Jean too and say, please, could you help me and give it to her? Yeah.
I know we want to quantify all the things that we do to show, how much we're doing. But the quality that you have established here in this organization is so impressive. Um, and the way you talk about it just makes a big impression. So I guess I want to encourage you not to get so distracted by all the things you want to do to forget to do this central thing that you have done so well already
Mhm.
with those 200 people and how many ever events that they involve. And I'm thinking about first responders and other policemen and others too that normally we wouldn't even think of. And
Mhm.
you, of course, do think of everybody. And it's just very, very impressive. Is there a final question for Shaunda, or do you want to wrap up by saying something to us? Was there a question out there? Okay,
Oh,
then any final words that you'd like to leave us with, Shaunda?
yes, is that Ms. Scott? Thanks for okay. Thank you for having me. We are on Como Gives, so I do want to put that out there. And we're on Como Gives, so please go out there. And also we have I guess I could put the link somewhere if I can figure out how to do it here. So I
Your
can't see
link, the link
well,
to your organization is already in our chat, I think.
yeah, we have a fundraiser too that we're doing. I don't know if you guys have heard of Steep and Bloom
Oh,
teas. So we're selling this. She made a specialized tea for us that we're um selling right now for a fundraiser. And I'll find the link and put it in the chat for you too. If in case
okay.
anyone's interested. Let's see if I can figure out how to. Um, I don't know. I might have to, if I can send it to Kathy, maybe she can send it out. Let's see. Because I can't really
Yes, I
find
can
it.
do that.
Okay.
Yeah,
So it's
yes.
really um,
We will be posting a recording of this whole
oh,
discussion, and
okay.
you can invite anybody to look at it, and you won't have to say all the same things over again.
Okay,
And
sounds good.
and perhaps at that where we post that on our Muleskinners website, we can
Okay.
also put a link to your fundraiser.
Yeah. Okay, yes, it was a handcrafted tea for us called Bloom Again. So, yeah. Okay. Well, thank you guys so
Well,
much for having me.
I can't say it enough. Thank you so much, Shaunda.
Thank you. Thank you.
We're
Guess have a
going
good
to go into some business now. That will be election for officers for next